I am here without my fellow compadre, but he's here in spirit. Zeb is here today to give you another reaction. This time we're doing Key and Peele. Situation is crazy. I always wondered what happened to them, so hopefully this spreads some light on what happened to their situation. This video was uploaded by this guy, Patrick. I'll leave his link in the description. Let's go. Let's see.
Fans were shocked when Key and Peele abruptly announced that they would be ending their iconic sketch comedy show in 2015.
Yeah. When did they do that?
At the time, everyone assumed the duo was simply ready to move on to bigger opportunities. And that was true for one of them. Jordan Peele's Hollywood career skyrocketed, becoming one of the most respected filmmakers in the industry.
He's a really good director.
He's made some good movies. Has been jobbing for commercials and insignificant roles.
That's crazy. That is crazy, but that is very true. He has been very, not on the same wavelength as Peele. But he's still great. I don't care. I don't like people comparing both of them. Both of them have made me laugh. I love both. Let's go.
Films, which is shocking because Key was always considered the more popular of the two and expected to be more successful in the long run. But recently,
wait, hold on, wait, hold on. I'm pausing a lot, but I'm not gonna. I have to address this. I don't know. I feel like when I read the comments of their videos, they always like glaze Peele. Shit, I guess I don't know. I thought they were both like kind of equal. If I'm being honest.
A comedian who worked closely with Keegan revealed something that completely changed the way fans looked at Key and Peele's relationship. And now many are looking back at awkward interviews, strategic silence, and most importantly, how Keegan's wife may secretly be the reason Key crossed paths with Jordan Peele, making the rounds in the local improv comedy scene. The two realized they had incredible.
Just a reminder, you're not ugly, you're just broke.
This was the very first Key and Peele sketch.
Wait, this woman in the eye, I said,
oh, that's their first. Wait, that was their first one.
You told me.
Bro, that is
45.
You said that.
Yeah, I said.
Yeah, I said it.
In the same episode, their next bit was Jordan acting as President Obama giving a speech to the country, and Key acting as his anger translator, turning his respect.
Let me know in the comments, what is your first Key and Peele sketch that you've seen? I'll tell you mine, it was Substitute Teacher Garvey.
For words into aggressive commands.
I just want to say to my critics, I hear your voices, and I'm aware of your concerns.
So maybe if you can chill the hell out for like a second, then maybe I can focus on some
The show was when they put out a new sketch that would become a cultural staple, like the East-West College Bowl, where they poked fun at ridiculous names of college athletes.
Hingle
Penn State University.
The substitute teacher bit, where Key cannot pronounce extremely common
This
American names.
was my introduction. Hey, the first time I said it in gay band. Because it's my name was Aaron. Okay, I would do that, but I too broke to replace this computer. So. No, hey, Ron.
The sign of
getting Obama to do your shit is crazy, bro.
Is that the literal president of the United States invited Keegan-Michael Key to do a remake of their anger translator bit, but during a real speech.
Because despite our differences, we count on the press.
Dude, that is crazy. The president, bro. The president wanted you to freaking do a parody of him. That's insane.
In 2015, Keegan
crazy. Now we're getting into what happened.
This is our final season, and it's not because of Comedy Central. It's us. It was just time for us to explore other things, together and apart. Compare it to Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. We might make a movie and then do our own thing for 3 years and then come back and do another movie. Fans were initially disappointed, but in a way, the show lived on much longer than 3 years due to its success on YouTube. Over the years, fans would be scrolling YouTube and randomly see a Key and Peele sketch.
There is always a Key and Peele sketch you have never seen.
What's interesting is that Keegan-Michael Key was primarily regarded as the heavy hitter of the duo.
Yeah, that's great.
In 2016, Key was nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a comedy series at the Emmys. However, Peele was not nominated for the same role. Key also gained his relevancy from his appearance at the White House Correspondents'
Dinner. I mean that's clout. That is the maximum amount of clout you could get. Not to mention
that Key received way more acting gigs in major TV shows and movies during Key and Peele's run. Most people believed Key would be the more successful of the two, and yet Jordan was now receiving worldwide praise.
Again, I always thought they were equal.
Instead of evolving into a singular creative force with a clear artistic identity, Key slowly started feeling more like a talented utility player in Hollywood. He was everywhere, but never the main character. And after Jordan's third directorial release, Nope, in 2022, which was yet yet another resounding success loved by fans and critics, you could argue that Jordan Peele has completely eclipsed his role in Key and Peele, with his efforts as a horror writer and director.
Yeah, he's really good. That's why I'm surprised people thought Key would be better.
Key,
I mean,
many
more
still
successful.
remember him primarily as the guy from Key and Peele. I think it's interesting that Key is doing commercials that show up on Hulu, and Peele is one of the driving forces of cinema. I kind of hate comparing them because Key is also incredibly talented, but Peele is truly on the
These other comments I would see on that, like, he's good, but Peele's up here. That's what I would see. What the hell is that picture? What the game married?
Like joining. People had assumed that because they did these collaborations that everything was all good between them. But Key would speak on this directly during an interview in 2024. We don't see each other that often anymore, which is a tragedy. Key went on to explain in a separate interview that them living far apart from each other.
So it's basically you just drift apart naturally, but you're still friends.
Whenever we have an opportunity to see each other, we do. Whenever
I do remember this interview, though.
I certainly enjoy spending time with him. So when my travels take me to Los Angeles, he's usually one of the first calls that I make. I land and I go, "Hey, buddy."
It's just kind of ironic how I'm reading this, and it's like, you know, I don't have my dog right here besides me to react to this video because we're far, you know, we're far. But it doesn't mean we're not friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
Have dinner. Our relationship is like a good friend's relationship, where you pick up where you left off, or the little things that you shared in the past,
and you just
go right back.
You sit at the bonfire, you drink some beer, and you talk about all
what's interesting is that
divorces you have.
Interviewed way more than Keegan because he's way more active and front-facing in Hollywood, and yet he has said literally nothing about his former comedy partner.
That is true.
Appearance that Jordan Peele has
never heard.
Key continues to live in the
I've
past.
never heard an interview from Peele about this situation. It's always Keegan.
Right now we're expressing ourselves that way, and I think we'll find ourselves back together. I do not have a timeline for that, but I would jump at the chance to work with him again in any capacity. Fans had no reason to believe that there was any bad blood between them. Maybe they had simply grown apart naturally over time, but that assumption started falling apart after a comedian who worked closely with Keegan publicly shared a story that completely changed the way people looked at Key and Peele's relationship. In April of 2026, comedian Akilah Hughes shared her experience working with Keegan-Michael Key using the not-so-subtle code names of Lock and Banana.
He is, and I don't think this is too shady, I think it's true, the less successful half of a comedy duo that was prolific in the 2010s. Perhaps, you know, I think their code names could be Lock and Banana.
She also tweeted, "If you ever wondered why K and PEL don't work together anymore, watch the next video in this thread." So there is absolutely no confusion in regards to who this story is about. Akilah got connected with Keegan-Michael Key while developing her own sketch comedy show, not necessarily for his creative input, but because she needed an established celebrity attached as an executive producer to help make the project more attractive to networks and studio executives, which is very common in the industry. But with Keegan came his wife, Elle Key, who supposedly wiggled her way to an executive producer role for the show.
My agent at the time calls me and she goes, "How is pitching going? How do people feel about Locke?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, they love him. Everybody loves Locke." And she's like, "That's great, that's great. How do they feel about his wife, who is now somehow the executive producer on my show?" And I'm like, I hadn't really thought about it. I don't think people like her very much.
But the strategy was effective. Having Keegan on as a producer landed them an official offer from Disney. Then one day, Akilah was contacted by Jordan Peele's wife, Chelsea Peretti, warning her about Keegan's wife and her involvement.
Bro, why the wives?
I'm just calling you because I
getting involved in fighting, bro.
She does about an hour of a monologue at me about how, she thinks that his wife is like Phil Hartman's wife. That she wouldn't trust her to hold a baby. That she once poured alcohol on her birthday cake and this person is sober. And she says, there's no accounting for how much money she's cost that black man.
Despite the warning, Akilah continued working with them. After all, she had quit her job and moved to LA.
This video took a turn, bro.
But it proved to be a mistake. Apparently, Elle, who remember was not ever asked to be a part of this show, continued to insert her unwanted opinions.
Yeah, nobody asked you, but you're in there, huh? You're like this mosquito. You're like a mosquito. No one asked you to suck my blood, but he's sucking it. Why are you sucking it? I don't give you consent to suck my blood.
And finally, Give the audience some candy. Now, how do you implement these notes?
None of the writers thought her ideas were good or funny, so they were ignored, to which Elle responded by threatening to sue the network. Akilah doesn't add much context here, but she is trying to make the accusation that Elle was just trying to ruin the project since it wasn't going her way. As a result, the show was stalled and eventually was canceled altogether.
And so...
Wow, are we being real? So this girl gets this show canceled because...
That was never announced. That was supposed to be my dream.
Now, first of all, there weren't many jokes in Akilah's performance. The inclusion of the live band made this some kind of exaggerated live podcast gossip storytime session, so it couldn't exactly be brushed off as, oh, well, it's just a joke. And even though all of the details Akilah shared are incredibly vague, it's unlikely she would create a 12-minute story of completely baseless lies, especially considering the allegations aren't really that scathing. Like, the idea of established Hollywood celebrities derailing a dream project for an upcoming creator because it didn't go their way sounds like something that happens every day in Hollywood.
That sounds very common in the celebrity scene.
Akilah's performance that has completely changed people's perspective of Keegan-Michael Key.
He needs to be himself in public, and his partner has won Oscars. And everyone knows that his wife has ruined his career. It is diminishing returns. He's doing insurance commercials.
After she said that, sensationalized headlines emerged from Akilah's performance. Akilah Hughes says she knows exactly why Key and Peele don't work together anymore. Key's crazy wife destroyed Key and Peele, and there is actually a little bit of evidence to back up those claims. 8 months before this story blew up, a blind item emerged about Key's wife. Personally, I happen to know that L. Key IRL is a massive narcissist and straight up abusive to the working people in her vicinity. She's using Keegan's talent, fame, and likability to get herself in the room in front of cameras.
She's a leech.
Phone, calls herself a producer or
she's a leech, bro. Pour some peroxide on that twat. We don't need, bro. Don't tell me I swear.
Of her own to stand out without him. Everyone.
If this is all true, bro, dump her right now.
And wishes to leave her.
If it's your wife.
While this might sound like even more gossip, this allegation holds weight with a little more factual context. Elle Key, whose real name is Elisa Pugliese, was an aspiring actress who couldn't land anything more than being an extra with no lines or no significance to the plot.
So now you ride up your husband's coattails, you mess other people's stuff up,
drama films
and now you're freaking fucked up. My favorite movie. Man, piss off with this guy. Have my boy getting great here over nothing.
Saying that she is the reason why the Key and Peele show ended are just false. The show ended in 20...
I'm going off on this woman and it was false. Damn it, don't jump to conclusions. Okay, fine. I'm sorry for what I said.
15, and she didn't come into the picture until over a year later. Now the rumors saying that she might be the reason why they didn't continue working together, well, that's entirely different. What you'll notice is that as Elle became more present in Keegan's career, Jordan started becoming more distant. Because remember, Keegan and Jordan worked together in 2022 on that animated show, but shortly after, everything changed. And it all centers around a book that Keegan and Elle co-authored called The History of Sketch Comedy, a journey through the art and craft of humor, which by the way is everyone's favorite subject, comedians talking about comedy. This book discusses subject matter that Keegan-Michael Key is
History of Sketch Comedy. I actually want this.
Aptly features him on the cover. They also created a podcast alongside this book.
About the creator, writer, and director.
Elle as the creator, writer, and director, whereas Key is simply just a performer and co-writer. To be clear, Elle Key has essentially no experience in sketch comedy and has literally never said anything funny in her entire life.
Why are we talking about? Why would she be the freaking director?
Comedy masterminds was portrayed as second fiddle to his wife in a podcast about sketch comedy was mind-boggling to say the least. But the project was well received. They won a Webby Award for Best Writing in a Podcast. When accepting, Elle gave a 5-word long speech that she couldn't do without crying, and Keegan did not get to say anything.
Bruh, come on now, dog.
Bro, what is this bullcrap, bro? I'm sorry. Nah. Whether it's your husband or your wife and they upshowing you and you are the freaking one that brought them here, bro, do not take that. Men or women, do not. Okay?
With Stephen Colbert,
the hell? Support your husband or wife.
To the host, and Key was
don't
off to the
freaking
side
take their spotlight. The fuck is wrong with you?
I think we both discovered that if we work on something together, it's better.
Which is fine. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's a
To
good
others,
statement.
based on Akila's story,
But
they see
no.
her as manipulating and forcing her way into creative spaces she otherwise would have never been a part of. Keegan's wording in this interview is particularly interesting. At first, he comes off endearing, but he also inadvertently admits that his wife uses him to advance her own career.
As you said, all good doors like lead to Elle and her opening that.
Yeah, she opened. Yeah, it's like I'm the key, and she knows where the doors are. So you just have to have the courage to put the key in the door. It's always wonderful you have someone in your life who can show you where the doors are.
But it goes one step further, because it seems like Keegan has adopted the
That's an interesting analogy right
wife
there.
guy personality, similar to Will
Oh,
Smith or
frick's sake.
Akash Singh, where the central focus
Don't
of his identity
compare my guy
is
to
that
Will
he is less
Smith,
famous.
bro.
To some, he is just being sweet. To others, he looks pathetic. Like when Keegan was asked what he was most proud of in his entire career.
Okay, you know what?
changed his mind
This is
to
way
what his
more on
wife
this
said
man's
should be his most
personal
prideful
relationship,
moment.
more so than Key and Peele. You know, so I'm not gonna get into this part. Nah, this is not for me. I understand context is important, but like, nah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm alright.
My wife Elle has impeccable taste, so I'm one of those people
Okay.
who likes to leave things to the experts.
So why didn't your wife leave the writing of the book to the expert, which is you?
And although all of this can come across as completely cringe, it doesn't necessarily prove that Elle wedged herself between Keegan and Jordan Peele.
No,
TMZ
it's true.
reported
That is
multiple
just their
sources
personal
connected to
thing.
Keegan
That's why I'm trying to
and
see the
Elle tell
connection here.
TMZ, Akila's stand-up narrative is outlandish and fabricated nonsense. Akila
Sure,
fired
okay.
back by posting screenshots of DMs, all entirely anonymous, of people trying to corroborate the narrative that Elle is a control freak. We had a whole fake script on set as a decoy to keep her busy and manipulate her while we shot the actual commercial. She kept his own mother and brother from their wedding and systematically cut everyone who was close to him out of his life. So Locke was my
Jesus
godfather
Christ.
growing up and was best friends with my mother all through college, so he had a huge impact on my life until he remarried his now wife. She completely changed him and the way he treated close family and friends. Not too long after he remarried, he cut off my mom and even his own family in a way. It seems that people have entirely bought into the narrative that Keegan was this innocent comic legend whose career and friendship with Jordan Peele has been destroyed by his egomaniac wife who has to control every little thing about him. But not many people are willing to cast blame on Keegan himself, who seems to admit that he didn't know his own potential, didn't believe in himself, and even can't dress himself. Sure, you could call it pathetic, but maybe this guy genuinely would not have pursued anything after Key and Peele if it wasn't for his wife.
And I saw a video of him.
That's a good perspective. That's a good side to see.
He can.
Maybe she was, helped him to push it. It's true.
Amazing.
It's
He was
an
a
open
sports car with
conversation.
Traffic. Like he has all of this power and all of this energy, and like, what is he doing with it?
That's
I was
the
like,
best analogy.
why aren't you out there going 120 miles an hour? Like, why are you stuck where you are?
Since people were introduced to Keegan and Jordan as a comedic pair with incredible chemistry, it made fans assume that they were inseparable best friends off screen. So when Jordan became a successful director and Keegan didn't ascend in his career, it felt like there had to be some deeper reason, as if they weren't
I
always
thought
just
too. That's
two
why I'm watching this
individuals
video.
with separate career aspirations. People needed something or someone to blame to justify their career imbalances. El Key became the simple answer to a complicated story,
okay.
but Jordan Peele's strategic silence
what?
on all of this
What?
leaves so much room for speculation. Until Jordan
Yeah,
comes
so what's
out and
Peele's
says
side?
all these rumors are baseless lies and that he and Keegan are still great friends, people are gonna run with the narrative that El Key is to blame for all of this. If anything, Key and Peele is a reminder that sometimes your favorite duos aren't best friends, but rather just co-workers who happen to make magic together for a brief moment in time. It reminds me a lot of Drake and Josh, who appeared to be best friends on screen, but behind the scenes was an entirely different story. But check out this video to hear about that.
Okay, well that was that. My verdict is I have no idea. I thought this would be way more about Key and Peele. I don't know. I thought it was going to get into some cheating thing. I thought it was some cheating allegations. Like, I thought he was a cock and he was gonna watch Peele destroy his wife's inside. I don't know. But it would be interesting to see if there's more to this, which I don't think there is. Like that video if you like it, if you like it, if you don't like it, still like it. For a reunion of Key and Peele, hopefully we will still get that. Yeah, subscribe to this channel and see you next time.